my question would be to the speakers. Please come in the front for both the panels. And the question I have is what does it mean, what opportunity IIT has from here? Okay, and if each of you can take 1 minute to tell us, and beginning with the first speaker, we have Gautam, and maybe you can create the value for IIT now. Yeah, just 1 minute, what you have picked up, what you have done is there what opportunity do we have for IIT and as well as alumni?
Well, I think I would be very happy to see IIT starting creating value center where a lot of these things come together on a platform where people can start to work in an interdisciplinary fashion to not only create value in technology but in sustainability, in just humanity, and bring all of this together. Because I was just at an artificial intelligence conference I did in Kobe, Japan, and it was all about not only looking at what artificial intelligence can do for society, but how it can destroy things for society, which is overlooked. So I think a holistic kind of a view would really help.
Thank you.
I think I will continue that. Many times the sense of purpose is very important. I would like to see my institution where I studied, IIT, take a different way of looking at not center of excellence for AI, but look at it for what it is meant for. Create, for instance, we talked about sustainability, have a center of excellence, and I see the way that we could network together as an alumni. And I see a tremendous opportunity for us to work together on giving back to the institution as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
My contribution would be that I think IIT should take the leadership to the other institutions, because it's a very old institution. And you see, like, especially the Indian institutions are much younger, like our IITs are much younger. So probably if you can take the innovation and especially human-based technologies and like how it can impact climate change and all the issues which we are facing, sustenance issue we are facing today, if this type of leadership can come from some such institutions like yours, then it can be really good for all other engineering institutions also. Because I think one of the best brains, especially in India, go to these institutions. And of course, the solutions have to come from there itself.
Yeah, so the question gets progressively harder as we go towards the right, yes? Yeah, no, for me the eye-opener here was that, we are all so deep in our respective areas and we're doing, interesting or in some cases, amazing work as some of my co-panelists are doing in the area. I think the fact that IIT brought us all together to exchange ideas, get to know each other, right, creates opportunities for so much so many connections to happen, and a lot of innovation is connecting the dots. So these kind of forums where people can come together from diverse backgrounds who have learnings in diverse areas, exchange ideas, I think that for me is the biggest value add, whether it's here in India or it's in Chicago. That is something that with its huge alumni pool of people doing amazing things around the world, it can be a huge multiplier if all those people come together and start collaborating.
Thanks, Bhartendu.
At the risk of being a parrot, I'll repeat an idea which I've been talking in many forums, that institutions like IIT and all other places like the cantonment, etc., should become completely off-grid and not rely on the grid for their power, because they have the luxury of land to generate their own power through solar, biomass, etc., etc. They should not take a drop of water from the municipality, because a thumb rule in water management is that if you have 1 acre of land, you can harvest 1 million liter of water. And when you get that 1 million liter of water, don't use it like the old-fashioned bulb. Use it like a LED light, and so on and so forth.
How many of you from this group from India? I mean, in the sense, can you raise your hand? Okay. So I would like to, if in that my area, what I'm working on reforestation, I need a human resource. I don't need money. I want to because money cannot go back to planting. It's require a human intervention. So some of you can join. At the same time, I think many of you from other parts of the world, so can learn some of our techniques. I mean, because we are engaged in next 5 years. I need just 5 years to solve climate change through reforestation. So one is maybe other parts like Africa or in the Europe or US. Maybe we can also learn from you. We can also you can also learn from India. That's a great opportunity, a collaboration. I'm looking on those. We have a network of people across the world. I'm really need that human resource. Then we can turn around money and other things. So thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Gowda. I think that's good. With that, we open up the floor. Tulsi, you have a question?
Not a question really, but I like to share that 1 minute thing for IIT. I see IIT as an institute which is moving with times. This is how I have seen it. Apart from the technology, I have noticed that there is an element of entrepreneurial, attitudinal intervention, directly and indirectly coming to all of us from IIT. I have a request to make to all of us. We are a small family group here, which is wonderful because it is easier to interact. Can we initiate a Bangalore chapter and a Mumbai chapter in a way for moving forward so that, we bring technology, sustainable, decentralized technology and entrepreneurship, more importantly, as our main agenda. And we focus on the rural areas we are already connected with. So the 2/3 of India is really in a poor condition. So we begin that chapter concept. This is my request, actually, Mumbai and Bangalore. Yeah.
Taking a cue from you, I'd like to add something to what you just said. I'm part of a group called the Sustainability Mafia. And the age profile is from 20 to 35. And I'm the youngest in that group. And I would like to connect you to that group because they're doing some very, very innovative work. And some of them have just left college and doing wonderful business. One young lady, 27-year-old, she's handling waste management. She got a 45,000 euro award 4 or 5 days back. So if we can connect with the young generation, the scaling up will happen on a more significant scale.
We need to create that ecosystem of investors coming together in our chapter.
My name is N.M. Shah. I've got 2 things to add. Mr. Gowda, Dr. Gowda is from M.A.S. University. Mr. Patel is from M.A.S. University. And I am from M.A.S. University from 1957. So I'm very happy that 3 of us are here and 2 are on the panel. I'm working on a very different matter of this climate change, water resources, and all the problems which the humanity face. In 1945, FDR made United Nations. There were World War II before. Afterwards, there were a couple of world wars, small wars, but it was fizzled out. With 1 month, 2 months, 15 days, it is fizzled out. There should be a central institute of United Nations collecting of all the members of the countries where all of you who have given beautiful ideas, it gets scattered. All ideas get scattered. But if it flows into one direction, like in India we have got an institute where you give the ideas to them. By that way, United Nations type 175 countries sit together and then try to make 2 or 3 slabs, one common, one for the particular country and one for the local people. Number 2 is we must have in the school and high school a chapter compulsory in exam for water resources, climate change, energy audit. Now, energy audit is compulsory in the public limited company. We should have water audit also. If you have got water audit, there will be lots of conservation of water. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have people
And Natwar Shah, if I'm not mistaken, is, I would say, you get the senior most alumni award in this.
I'm 57, 58.
Yeah.
The oldest man still alive.
Yeah.
58
Batch, 58 batch.
So,
1958 batch. In spite of studying in IIT, I'm still alive.
well, you, because you have a lot of experience, that's good.
I learned plenty, I enjoyed plenty, and I got good amount of return from IIT.
That's nice to hear that. Any other question from the audience? Yes, please.
So I heard a lot of mention of solar and wind, you know, when we talked about sustainability and such. But just like to know the, views from the panel on the nuclear, because it was not touched upon a lot. And, looking at like gigantic needs for the developing countries like India, right? What are your thoughts on, nuclear as a potential clean energy, replacing all the, coal-based and such?
I think Dharmendu, Bhartendu would be the.
So, as part of my role, I look at all possible sources of energy. But in general, nuclear has gone past a stage where it's even amortized cost of, energy generation, right? Because of the huge capital costs involved, it is no longer economically efficient to build nuclear plants. It's simple, and that's why you're finding India is not pursuing its own nuclear energy goals. Now, from a long-term perspective, there are still technologies in nuclear that are very promising. For example, fusion technologies, right? If we can crack that problem, then we don't need energy from any other source. So the long-term research is happening, but the legacy nuclear plants, whether they are uranium-based or even the thorium cycle that India was investing in for 50 years, all that investment and capital investment is grinding to a halt because the cost of solar plus storage or wind plus storage is both in terms of per unit over lifetime have fallen below the cost of that for nuclear. So that is my understanding, but I think Rajesh would have a more global corporate understanding he would probably share with us. Sorry if I put you in a spot.
I think you covered it very well. In fact, even from a corporate side, if you look at it, the focus is clearly on the renewable energy, on the solar and wind. And when it comes to nuclear, we are focusing on how do we make those plants which are currently already installed more efficient by having a lot more optimized automation systems to have across their value chain of how they can reduce the cost, but clearly not seeing that as the growth of how do we create energy for us for the future, right?
I'm an aberration in this group. I'm a hotelier, but I also have my viewpoint on nuclear energy. There's a terminology which is not used in management jargon, that is intergenerational responsibility. Yes, nuclear fuel is absolutely clean. There is no quarrels on that front, but the waste of the nuclear plants has a huge shelf life. And we have examples from the Love Canal, I think near New York and some other states in USA. We don't know how to handle the waste. So let's not shift the burden of nuclear waste in future generation. So there's something called, accounting language is very replete with sweet language, precautionary principle, going concern, etc. So can we bring the precautionary principle in this particular domain as only applying to financial matters?